Hi YouTube, Rick Olson here. I'm ready to start reading from Mom's book about the plane crash that she had on the volcano in Hawaii. It's a lot to read, so I'm gonna kind of condense it and paraphrase some of it, and add in a little bit from the newspaper articles when it pertains. And I'm not going to really cover a lot of this was the time in the hospital. I might just pick out a tiny little bit of that, but it was a full year in the hospital, and I know you guys ain't interested in all the treatments and the skin grafts and all the things that they went through. Although I will say, when I first got there to the hospital, my mother, she had swelled up probably 4 times her normal size. It was incredible. I didn't think a body could swell up so large. Her entire body swelled up. Dallas's too. And Dallas, I cried when I saw Dallas because his face was just black, burnt. You know, and I'm burned too. That's what this is here. I was severely burned when I was a child, so I went through 40 surgeries to get where I am now. That's also why I tend to shoot all my videos from one side when I do my music videos. I try not to let people see my burns. Anyhow, and then I'm going to jump, there'll be a separate video about the people of Hawaii. The people of Hawaii were so great. They did so much for our family. We'll talk about that later. You won't believe what the people of Hawaii did for my family. And they thought that my mother was magical. They wanted to touch her everywhere she went. The volcano god had never let anybody survive before. Never. Nobody. The volcano god never let anybody survive. And the Hawaiian people didn't think he did this time either. They felt that Mom's magic was more strong than the volcano god. And they wanted to touch her to get some of the magic. Now in my book, Mom's going to tell you that her magic was the hand of God. She talks about God a lot in the book. You know, just so you know, there's going to be a lot of that in here. I'm not a religious person myself, but my mother was. But I'm going to include everything that she put in here and her thoughts, okay? So let's get started. Reading from the book now. Me and my husband planned a trip of a lifetime. At least it was the trip of a lifetime for us. Because my parents had always only gone one place, Nags Head, North Carolina, the beach. Went there every year for like a week, every year. They'd never gone anywhere else. This was the first time they took something different, and they'd saved their money for a long time because it was their 20th anniversary and they were doing something special. Anyway, we planned to go to Hawaii on the 20th anniversary. I got books from the library on Hawaii Islands. We wanted to see the 3 islands in 2 weeks. I studied those books for months. Places to see and things to do and places to eat. We had a good time. We were not very young. I was 62, he was 60. We took more time than others. The sun and water is not what we wanted to see. We wanted to see the culture of the area, the people, but for the first 2 days we got in Hawaii after the plane trip, I wasn't feeling well. I think I caught something on the plane. I was feeling so bad. I told my husband to go out to the marketplace down the street and take some video with the camera and film it for me. He didn't want to leave me, but I finally told him to go eat, and while he was out, I laid in bed and I looked out the window at all that was going on, the boats on the water, the people were surfing. Sure wish I felt better. I had some kind of flu. Why me, Lord? I had planned this for so long, and now this. My husband came back. He had filmed all of the beautiful people in the marketplace and the trees and the scenery around the hotel, the jewelry and everything that you could buy in the market. I enjoyed watching the movie, just hoping, please God, let me feel better tomorrow. We had a nice balcony to sit on, and we could hear the Hawaii music, and everyone was having a good time. Jackie, that's my sister, called every day to see what we were doing. She is my 3rd child. The next day I felt somewhat better. We got Oh, some of these words are hard to read. Oh, we got on a bus and went to Chinatown. So many different kinds of people, all friendly. We ate lunch and in Chinatown and just walked around. We went to a park that had people painting. The park had a big banyan trees. The banyan trees is something that grows in Hawaii. They're pretty cool. Where was I at here? I lost my place. Oh, the park had big banyan trees. We bought a painting. I have it hanging on my wall. Oh, I wish we could have been younger, but you do what you got to do every day, and everything went smoothly until we got to the Big Island. We wanted to take a tour of the 3 islands to see the beauty of them, and also the volcano, never dreaming we would see the volcano so close and personal. We planned one with island hoppers for a day before we were to fly home. It was the last day of their vacation. And the day came and I was a little nervous. Phil Aldridge, the owner of Island Hoppers, said there was nothing to worry about. They had not had any crashes since the company had began. And the girl that was flying us was the best that he had. So as we were waiting for my stomach to get out of knots and stop worrying, she came in and introduced herself. She was young and beautiful. Her name was Jessica Maddock. We found out later that she was from Arizona, where the land is flat, and they did not tell us that she had only flown in Arizona where the land was flat. And we were her first people to take her up. We were the first people she took up on the island of Hawaii, on the volcano, and they did not tell me that. When I first saw her, I thought she was too young. I went to Phil Aldridge and told him, I'm not going up with that girl, she is too young. Phil argued with her and told her that Jessica was the most experienced pilot that they had. Even though she had never taken a tour flight, he didn't tell her that, but he told her she was the most experienced pilot. So anyway, when we started at the airport, the weather was okay. She was flying by sight, and then all at once, the clouds closed in and the weather turned bad. We couldn't see anything out the window. It was solid white. I asked Jessica to turn around and go back, that she could not see where she was going. She said that she did not have to turn back, that shortly the clouds would clear and the sun would shine all over the next mountain and everything would be fine. And at this time she was flying in clouds and could not see anything, had no communication on the plane, just by sight. When she got out of the clouds, she screamed we were going to crash, because when we came out of the clouds, the volcano was directly in front of us, just seconds from hitting it. There was no downdraft. When she saw we were about to hit the mountain as soon as the clouds cleared, she said the mountain was just huge. It was just in front of them. They were heading right at it. And the pilot pulled back on the stick and tried to go up and climb over the volcano. And then we clipped the treetops and crashed. Now I'm going to get a couple diagrams here. Let me show you something, what I think. This is what I think, because I've studied the crash site, I've studied the stories in the paper, and I've studied Mom's story. So this is, let me show you what I think happened. This is the volcano, and this is the plane. Now if it was a downdraft, this is what would have happened. She didn't see the volcano until she was this close, okay? And if there was a sudden downdraft, it would have done this, and there would have been, the plane would have been in a million pieces all over the side of the mountain, which is what normally happens when there's a downdraft. You don't get a downdraft and then just land the plane flat. There was no skid marks before where the plane hit on the lava flow. So I think the plane just came down flat. Let me show you how that happens. Okay, so here's your plane coming in, And then they see the volcano, the clouds clear, they see the volcano. So the pilot pulls up hard on a stick and tries to climb over the mountain. But if you get the plane at too much of an angle, it stalls. Okay, the plane will go up and stall, and then it will just fall. And I believe that's what happened. It stalled. It was just clipping the treetops as it stalled right here at the edge of the mountain. And then it basically just fell straight down and landed on the lava flow, and then it exploded and burned and everything. But let's get back to the story. Okay, it says we were going. Jessica shouted as soon as the clouds cleared. Jessica immediately shouted, "We're going to crash," because the mountain was right in front of us. We started to clip pine trees. She then tried going over the mountain. After clipping the pine trees, pulled back on the wheel, and we were 4,000 feet in the air. Of course, they crashed at 4,000 feet altitude, so she was basically ground level at that point. But somehow, my mom, this is what I explained, the plane probably stalled and landed, but Mom says somehow it felt like God just put his hand around the plane and took hold of that plane and just sat it down on the flat rock of the lava field. Just sat it down. And we all thought that we should thank God, and just kept saying, and then the pilot, I was saying we should thank God. The pilot just kept saying, "I'm so sorry," over and over. And right then the plane burst into flames. I watched my husband burn. He was sitting up in front. I looked behind me for a fire extinguisher. There was none. Our seat belts were on us and we couldn't get out of the burning plane. After a time, my husband Dallas, being a big man, put his entire weight against the seat belt, grabbing the dash and pulling until he broke the belt. Now this seat belt did put a 2-inch deep gash in Dallas's gut. He never wore a belt again after the accident. If you look at any of the pictures of him after the accident, he always wore suspenders because of the scars on his belly from what he just did, what I just told you. The belt went clear inside him. His whole hand had degloved. He had no skin on his arm. He couldn't open the door. So Mom reached across to open the door and he climbed out. Then he climbed. I was still in the back seat trying to get loose. I guess they were in shock and forgot about me, but Dallas ran to the plane and got her belt loose. My shoes had burned off my feet. My hands, my arms, my face, my legs, and my feet were all burned. My shoes were gone. They had burned completely off. My husband said we had to run. The volcano was like glass and needles and sharp. I don't know if you've ever seen a lava flow, but they're nasty, nasty places. I couldn't run. My feet was burned. He said the plane was full of fuel and it was going to explode. Again, I heard myself saying, "Why me, Lord?" My husband said we have to run. The plane was full of fuel and was going to explode. We ran about 100 feet to a small ravine. Dallas put the pilot down in the ravine and then my mom on top of the pilot, and then Dallas laid on top of both. And within seconds later the plane did explode. Mom said a ball of fire passed right over them and the ravine. But Dallas was not in the ravine because he was laying on top of the two women, which is why Dallas got burned so bad. He was enveloped completely in the flames, but he protected the women. And then something amazing happens, Mom says. The sky opened up and our Father in heaven dumped water on us. And that burning plane. Water that I'm sure helped our burns. The plane burned totally up, but God put that fire out. That was a blessing. What a blessing. The only communication was an AT&T phone that my husband had in his pocket, half charged, and the Lord. She said, "I got to call Island Hoppers, but I don't know where we are. I thought this time the Lord gave me a mountain I don't think I can climb. I kept thinking of my 4 children I raised. I'm ready to go. I have them all raised. They're all doing good. And Dallas would be well taken care of by my children. They love him and they will take care of him. I am ready to go. And so I hurt so bad I want to come home again. Jessica kept saying I need to call Island Hoppers. She got on the phone. Nobody could understand her. Phil said how bad everyone alive was. We were all burned pretty bad. We were only 15 minutes far from where we took off. How could they not find us? My husband took the phone and tried to call 911. They didn't have 911. He finally got hold of the Coast Guard. He couldn't tell any directions or where we were because the pilot didn't know. He wanted to know how bad we were hurt. Dallas tried to tell him how bad everyone was burned. You know, in the newspaper articles they said the pilot was the one that made the call, but Mom was saying that Dallas did. Jessica called her boss, okay, and Dallas called the Coast Guard. We didn't know what to do. We were wet and cold. The wind was blowing, and I was afraid we were going into shock. The pilot was agitated, I know, taking blame for everything. All she could say is, "I'm sorry," over and over again. I think she thought we were going to die. She went off to find help. She said she went off to find help, but I think she just did not want to see us die. We were so badly burned that she just wanted to not be there. So she walked off. And of course you see in the article they found her 300 yards from the plane, 150 feet down a ravine. And anyway, I tried to see if I could find Dallas a place to lay down. The rain had cooled off the plane. I moved things around to see if I could get him inside. You see, Mom was saying that they moved things around to get in the tail after the pilot was gone. Now the airline said the pilot made a place for him in the plane, but that's not what Mom says. The pilot was gone at this point. It was starting to get dark. All I could think of, we were going to die on the mountain. In my 30 minutes, only 30 minutes more, I told him that we would be dead. We were both too far gone to worry about it. I cuddled up close to him to keep warm. And we laid down, told each other goodbye, and decided that we were going to die because it was dark now and they were not going to find us. So we laid there in silence for 20 minutes or so. And then I thought I heard sounds. And for Dallas to see what the sound, I hear sounds, a helicopter. Make them see us or we're going to die on the mountain. He got out and stood on the burned out plane. They seen us. Thank God they seen us. Now I did see in the article that Roger said he flew over the site 4 times before my parents came out of the tail of that plane. So I'm assuming they were already kind of half unconscious, but one of them, even though they were partially, I think Mom, she came to when she heard the plane, because it was the 4th time the plane had passed over before they came out, according to Roger Wilson. And Dallas got out and stood on the plane. They seen us. Thank God they seen us. They had their loudspeakers on. We could hear what they were saying. They said, "My God, look at the burned out plane." A man came down and they said, "There are people alive down there. My gosh, there are people alive down there." They hovered over us. A man came down in a wire basket. He wanted to take Dallas first, But Dallas said, no, she goes first. They loaded me up to dump me onto the plane. I was alone in the basket being raised, and I cried out to God, please God, I do not wish to endure this. And then Mom claims a booming voice came right out of the mountain. No, it's not your time. You have work to do. They pulled her up into the plane, dumped her onto the floor. They flew her back. Mom said they then flew out over the ocean to dump the fuel. And she passed out. And she went into a coma. And she didn't come to for about 2 weeks after that. And then she said, why us, Lord? We are just regular people. My husband is a welder and I work at J.C. Penney's. And if I had not met him, my life would not be as good as it is now. I'm sure God put us together. We both needed someone for so long, and I'm grateful for that day. I know that I have been a disappointment to our Father in heaven, and I'm so sorry for that. He was the best thing that ever happened to me. He has been so kind and good to me. He's a real Christian man. Since the crash, I haven't been very well. We both have diabetes and we try to take care of each other's needs. And he is much better at it than I am. I raised 4 children on my own. Their father wasn't much help, but they grew up loving their father. That's the way I wanted it. Thank God for my children in Dallas. I'm gonna go get me I gotta go get me a Kleenex, okay?